Hey guys, so today what I want to talk about is the idea of becoming or being a supple person, athlete, whatever you want to call yourself. This became pretty big through a guy that's very famous in the fitness industry called Kelly Starrett. He wrote a few very important books, but the biggest one is one called Becoming a Supple Leopard. And in that book, he used this whole idea and translated it to the sentence, a cheetah doesn't stretch before going on a hunt, right? And he talks about how throughout the animal kingdom, we don't see this ritual of warming up and stretching before physical activity. A lot of times because physical activity happens spontaneously. So if I'm a gazelle and I'm in the jungle and I see a tiger, there's no time for a stretch. There is no time. And I have to give 100% effort to try to get out of the situation. But with humans, we see this fixation over warming up or stretching. What's the best warm up? How long should a warm up take? Should I stretch before or after a workout? And all these things. And usually when we think about what if a human were to just get off of the couch and do a full on sprint like it's being chased by a tiger, usually our idea is like they're gonna pull a hamstring, they're gonna pull a calf muscle, right? Like we have this thing where we think that it's necessary to do a warm-up, to do a stretch, and for a lot of people it is. But because of this sentence, a cheetah doesn't stretch before going on a hunt, we think that there is a way that you don't need to go through that. That idea is presented on these two graphs. So the first graph here, we have suppleness, right? So how supple you are, how ready for physical activity you are. This is the time, right? And let's say that when you wake up, you're over here. This dotted line is where you need to be to do an activity safely. So let's say I have a workout here with squats, bench, cleans, whatever. If this is where I wake up, then I probably should do a warm-up. I should do some stretching. I should do some mobilization. And this is what this blue dotted line is. I do it enough that now I'm in the safe zone, right? And now I can work out and do everything I need to do fine with no injuries and efficiently. But as soon as I'm done working out, even if the workout produces an effect that gets me closer to the dotted line, because I'm so low, I'm probably still gonna be below that line. These are the type of people that will show up for a workout and be like, I need at least 15 minutes to warm up. Or man, I woke up so stiff. Or if I have a bench press, I know that I have to do at least these 4 stretches with the bench. I have to start with an empty bar. I have to do some sets very light. Our goal is to be supple enough that any activity shouldn't really require that much. If to do an air squat, you need to mobilize your ankle, your knee, and your hips, right? You're probably walking around stiff like a board. Ideally, you would be working on your mobility and your strength so much throughout the day, not just prior to the workout, throughout the day, that you can wake up, you can turn around, put the bar, slap some 45s on, and use that as a warm-up, right? This doesn't mean that warm-ups are unnecessary or that you should not do warm-ups. This idea is just that you don't need that to do your physical exercise safely. So in this example, right, the person wakes up already above the line. The warm-up can be 5 minutes, right? It's just, hey, get some blood flow, get the temperature, core temperature up, and I can do my workout and I can spend a lot more time in this safe zone because of how supple I am walking around every day. This idea translates to the thing we talk about in CrossFit a lot, and it's in fitness, which is physical preparedness. How capable, or what's your ability to utilize your range of motion, speed, power, strength, etc. If you can bench 225 for 10 reps, but to get there, you need a 15 to 20 minute warm-up, then you're less physically prepared than somebody who can rep out 225 in 5 minutes of warm-up. Even though your capacity to do the work is equal, one person will be more physically prepared because they do not need a lot of warm-up. This is something that we never think about, how warm-ups dictate how physically prepared you are, right? If you can come in, do a split, touch the ground, do a handstand, you are way more physically prepared than somebody that takes 5 minutes to do the same thing that you just did cold. When it comes to being supple, there are two main topics. One is your mobility, right, your range of motion, and the second is your explosiveness. One talks about the health of your tissue, of your ligaments, your tendons, your muscle, and then the other one talks about the capacity of the tissue, right? Both of these are things that we should do in training. Mobility by doing full range of motion exercise, and explosiveness by working both muscle fibers, right? So your slow twitch muscle fibers and your fast twitch muscle fibers. Also by training your different energy systems. So your sprint, right? Your ATP, CP energy system, the all out, your glycolytic, your aerobic system. This is how you improve the capacity of your tissue. So if we have good mobility and good explosiveness, we should be able to walk around, get off of the couch, wake up, and do a sprint. At least an 80% sprint. Obviously, if we're going for 100% effort, we want to take some precautions, right? And do a little bit of stretch and do a little bit of warm up. But at least 80% of everything you do, right? 80% of your max deadlift should be able to do cold. 80% of your max bench should be able to do cold. 80% of your max squat should be able to do cold. 80% effort on a row, on a run, should be able to do cold. If these are things that you lack, these are things that you struggle with, if you come on the gym all stiff, all hurt, and you're like, man, let me get the foam roller, and I gotta start foam rolling, then I'll do some stretches, and then I'm gonna sit on the bike for 5 minutes, and then I can start. You probably need to do some of this at home. And this is something that it must be a daily habit. You cannot use the 5 minutes before your training session and the 5 minutes after your training session to work on your mobility and overall fitness, right? You must be doing that daily. You see the animal kingdom, you see dogs, you see cats, they stretch 20 times a day, right? And they're able to wake up from a nap, do a stretch, you throw that ball and they'll fetch as fast as possible, right? This is what we're striving to do. This is what the idea of becoming supple is. And if there's anything in here that you struggle with, let me know. We'll work on that. That way, the life outside the gym can be improved through the things you do in the gym, which is going to be mobility and explosiveness. But being supple is the thing that makes you feel the best, right? It's great to be able to do something, I'll call this, great to be able to do something without having to do some stretches. Especially when there's a spontaneous situation, right? If a bomb goes off, if something happens, if I have to run to catch my dog that's running on the street, I want to be able to do that safely. I want to be able to do that well. So be supple.